Story 1. He promised to end the Russia-Ukraine war in one day. As a Russian and Ukrainian, I am still eagerly waiting to find out which day it will be. Story 2. I would say he has caused damage that will take years to fix, if ever, and has greatly diminished America on the world stage. And for what? Economically, the country is worse. Employment is down and prices are up. He has been a detrimental leader. Story 3. I am Korean. Korea, China, and Japan have been in conflict for over 1,000 years. However, Donald Trump somehow managed to unite all three of us against America. That is honestly kind of impressive. Story 4. He has been an unmitigated and unmatched disaster on all fronts. Globally, he has ended American soft power. We didn't just lose respect around the world, we lost any goodwill too. He has nearly destroyed the most powerful military alliance in human history, once more publicly supporting the Russian leader. He has emboldened our adversaries and calls them friends. He has enraged our allies and calls them enemies. Economically, no one wins a trade war, but he bluffed the world and then backed down. Now we are a running joke. Inflation is up, not down, thanks entirely to his unforced errors. We risk losing our status as the world's primary reserve currency, a potentially permanent disaster that many Americans do not fully understand. He is even negatively impacting the bond markets. Domestically, he has already initiated a constitutional crisis through the courts. He has dismantled government structures, which did not save us money and will ultimately cost us more. He has sold our personal data and seems to have everything up for sale. He is threatening to arrest and deport Americans he dislikes, as well as undocumented immigrants who have been denied due process, creating yet another constitutional crisis. Sadly, around half the country understands none of this. Oddly, even many who do understand are so entranced by him that they justify his actions, which contradict their usual principles. He relies on a populace that lacks understanding of how systems operate. As he says, I love the poorly educated. If we survive him, we need to take a serious look at our education system. Oh wait, he is undermining that too. Story 5. From Australia. America may not be able to tell, but the most irreparable part is its standing with other countries. America is extremely unpopular right now. Throughout my 40 years of life, people here have admired and respected the United States, but that has changed in just 100 days. Story 6. He has been doing a lot of good in the world. He brought Europe closer together. He dealt a strong blow to right-wing momentum globally. He convinced various countries to stop trusting the United States as an ally, build stronger alliances elsewhere, and strengthen their own defenses. He is diminishing American hegemony and ending the dominance of the dollar. He got China, South Korea, and Japan to collaborate on significant issues. He helped to publicly expose the ultra-wealthy as the inhumane individuals leeching off of human society. Of course, I don't think any of these things are intentional, but he certainly did achieve them. Story 7. I did not expect this to gain such attention, and I should have given credit to the original author. All credit goes to TaylorMade87. They have a more updated list in their recent comments. I am happy that it has been seen by many to help some understand what a troubling figure Trump is. First 100 days so far. Pardons all violent January 6th criminals. 2. Israeli ceasefires collapse. Ukrainian ceasefire collapse/fail to launch. War with Houthis. Signals Gate 1.0 and 2.0. Lets Houthis shoot down over 10 Reaper drones. Threatens invasion of partner countries. Alienates allies. Greenland, Canada, Mexico, and Panama. Threatens war with Iran. Threatens NATO alliance. Does Russia's bidding against Ukraine. Propaganda, pulling aid, intelligence, capitulation to land demands. Mark Fogel released for Russian cybercriminal. Dismantles foreign cybercrime defense. Multiple aviation accidents. Blames diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Diversity, equity, and inclusion historical removals like Jackie Robinson and Enola Gay. Releases millions of gallons of water in California to the wrong place after fires. Addresses none of the deadly tornadoes in the Central Plains, busy winning his own golf tournament. Markets down 10-20%. Worst month since the Great Depression. Market manipulation. Blows up his own trade deals and erases trillions from the market with the dollar down 9%. Giant tariff tax. Global trade war. No tariffs on Russia. Cryptocurrency scams. Trump and Melania coins. Pardons Silk Road creator and cryptocurrency criminals. U.S. boycotts, travel warnings, prolonged detainment. Freezes National Institutes of Health research grants and prevents federally funded scientists from traveling or discussing their work. Gutted U.S. Agency for International Development, wasting billions in aid and costing lives. Cuts funding to public media like National Public Radio and Public Broadcasting Service. Took over the Kennedy Center. Hangs mugshot in the White House. Lets Elon Musk's child put a sticker on the Resolute desk. Uses a chainsaw on federal agencies with no Department of Defense cuts and an actual increase in federal spending. Mass diversity, equity, and inclusion firings. Stops loans and programs like Farm to School. Invites dictators to the White House. Threatens First and Fifth Amendment rights. Deporting for opinions, due process, deporting homegrown criminals. El Salvadorian detention camps. Guantanamo Bay failure. Threatens loss of 14th Amendment birthright citizenship. Threatens 16th Amendment rights Congress setting tax rules. Threatens 19th Amendment voting rights for women. Threatens 22nd Amendment third term. Weaponizes the Justice Department. Vandalism at Tesla deemed terrorism. January 6th revenge. Measles and bird flu outbreaks. Wasted 30,000 real eggs on Easter. F-47 jet and proposals for his image on currency, Mount Rushmore, and airport naming. Cancelled Ebola prevention funding. Eliminates Food and Drug Administration regulations on food. Opens federal forests for logging and protected ocean space for fishing and drilling. White House resembles a Tesla dealership. Golf trips every weekend and some weekdays. Wastes millions attending the Super Bowl, NASCAR, and UFC events. Desires to create golden idols of himself. Attacks and sues private, state, and federal entities over constitutional rights. Extortion. Attacks on transgender individuals, including troops. Undermines the independence of the Federal Reserve. Pro-child labor legislation. Eliminates price caps on medicine like insulin. Reverses student loan forgiveness. Attempts to reverse overdraft fee protection. Reverses climate legislation. Guts Environmental Protection Agency. Violates the separation of powers. Criminal contempt. Mass illegal deportations. Secret police masked and kidnapping individuals. Revoked citizenship for hundreds of thousands of refugees. Mass protests in all 50 states. Did not show awareness of dead soldiers in Lithuania. Golfed with Saudis instead of attending dignified transfer of bodies. Did not release Epstein files. Remarks these things happen after the Florida school shooting. No tax on tips/overtime. Brain worm autism theory. Persons list. Fruit Loops made with real colors. Secretary of the Department of the Interior lies under oath. Trump gold card for Russian oligarchs. Announces military parade for his birthday. Claims to have got rid of paper straws. Made showerheads great again. Baby bonus and mommy medals. 100-foot flagpole at the White House. Gulf of America. So I'm not feeling great. Get this guy out. Story 8. As a Brazilian based on the news and effects abroad, I believe he has done a worse job than even Bolsonaro. It hasn't even been 100 days yet, and it feels like a millennium. He is forcibly turning back the clock and trying to move the United States back to the 1950s. This worries me because many people follow the United States posture, and they may try to do the same elsewhere. Remember, there are no conservatives, just regressionists. The world has changed, and they want to go back, not keep things the way they are. Story 9. He has successfully become the worst president in American history. No president has caused this much damage to the country in such a short amount of time. He has crashed the stock market. He has turned our closest allies against us. He has empowered our enemies. He has deported people, including legal immigrants and U.S. citizens, en masse without trial to countries they have never been to. He has done nothing but make the wealthy wealthier. Story 10. People who voted for Trump claim they voted for ending wars, law and order, lower prices, higher stock market, global respect. However, he has lost 6 times in significant contests. If you voted for Trump because he is cruel, then you would be correct. Story 11. I believe a paper bag full of human waste mixed with old milk and sewage would have been a better president than this individual. Story 12. He has performed poorly. He is, without a doubt, the worst president I have seen in my lifetime. Story 13. He has cemented his place as one of the worst people to have ever existed. I do not mean that he is among the world's most evil dictators, though he may get there in time. He is simply terrible on an unprecedented scale. He is not even interesting, and it does not seem that he is enjoying himself. He cannot even do being terrible well enough to have fun because he struggles at everything. Story 14. I thought it would be bad, but even I had no idea how quickly he would destroy the strongest economy in the world. From a certain perspective, perhaps a very Russian one, this is impressive. For me, it's terrifying. For supporters of Trump, it's just another day in a land of bubblegum, rainbows, and confusion. Story 15. He has done something I thought was impossible. He has slowed time down. This is the longest 100 days I can remember in decades. Story 16. With no exaggeration, this is the worst president in modern times and possibly in history. I fear for the future of the country for the first time in my life. Story 17. I am Canadian. I knew he would be awful and implement a future project. I knew he was a monster. However, I didn't expect him to start threatening to take over Canada and other countries, destroy the stock market, and post inappropriate memes about the people he was sending to camps without due process. The situation at the border is chaotic. I could continue, but the main point is that he is even worse than I anticipated. Story 18. Irreparably dismantled all American soft power built during the Cold War. Devalued the dollar. Forced technology billionaires to show their true, rotten colors to the world. Pushed Europe further together. If it weren't for the constitutional and humanitarian crisis he is forcing on people in the United States, and the horrid damage he is doing to the climate and world security with threats of invading NATO allies, I would have said it was pretty good. Story 19. The stock markets are free-falling. The rest of the world dislikes America. He has started tariff wars with our allies. The man is not mentally stable. Story 20. Honestly, if there were a Democrat president in office pulling the nonsense that Donald Trump has been doing, they would have been removed from office by now. However, because it's Trump, he is allowed to cause as much chaos and disruption as he wants. Gas prices are still high, grocery prices are still high, and the war in Ukraine has not ended as he promised. We still have not heard a single plan for his proposed healthcare initiative. So what has he accomplished that is making American lives easier? Hopefully, Americans will remember all this during the midterms, but the Make America Great Again movement feels like a cult, and the majority of Americans voted against Kamala Harris because they found her laugh annoying, so we are probably in a difficult situation anyway. Story 21. We have transitioned from a global superpower to a struggling nation that will take decades to recover. The individuals who support this are unfortunately too uninformed to be trusted with even basic matters, let alone political issues. Story 22. It feels like group punishment. It seems that a portion of the country made a poor choice, and now the rest of us have to suffer. Story 23. Well, yesterday Trump said he wouldn't fire the Federal Reserve Chair and harm the economy, and that's what passes for good news these days. Story 24. I have never been so ashamed of our country as I was watching the interview with Zelensky, Vance, and Donald Trump in the Oval Office. It was nauseating. Story 25. The economy is in bad shape. The Israel-Gaza conflict continues, and the Ukraine-Russia war persists. Small businesses are shutting down, privacy is being compromised, and free speech is under attack. Congress appears ineffective. Food prices keep rising, U.S. oil production is disorganized, and foreign relations have deteriorated. Air safety has significantly declined. His cabinet members spend more time discussing artificial intelligence and communicating on Signal than performing their job responsibilities. Federal jobs have been cut indiscriminately. He has spent more time playing golf and seeking retribution against his adversaries than actually leading. We lack food and jobs. It would be amusing to think that he could have benefited from the previous administration's economy but instead chose to sabotage it, hitting every obstacle along the way down from the highest point. The situation is extremely dire. Story 26. He has become the worst president in United States history, surpassing the previous worst president, Donald J. Trump by far. Story 27. I have to double-check every article I read to see if it's The Onion or a legitimate news article, and it's been really hard to tell the difference lately. Story 28. In a roundabout way, he has actually improved education. He's like a word-a-day calendar for learning law and economics. Not that he's doing anything right or even competently, but with him breaking a different law each day, I'm getting a quick overview of lesser-known policies and statutes that I would never have learned before. So, there's that. Story 29. The world is laughing at the United States and its blatant foolishness for allowing this to happen. If you did not vote, this is your fault. Story 30. I am impressed that he has somehow managed to do even more harm in the first 100 days of his second term than he did in all 4 years of his first term, and he does not even have a worldwide pandemic assisting him this time. Story 31. From the Nordic perspective, the United States has become a common subject for jokes. People discuss American matters as something completely absurd and can only laughably wonder how such things could be real news and part of the actual reality of what was once a very powerful country that we looked up to. Story 32. I think it's fair to say that he has exceeded every expectation. People expected a version of his last term. Instead, it's a supersized, more villainous version. In terms of handling illegal immigration, he has overstepped his authority and is ominously close to contempt of court because of the concentration camp he has the United States paying El Salvador to establish and maintain. Regarding the economy, he exceeded even the most pessimistic outlook and managed to crash an economy that was performing well. He needed to do nothing and could have taken credit but insisted on making changes and crashed it. Because he felt the need to appear intelligent, he is now jeopardizing American military hardware manufacturing. He has also likely irrevocably destroyed trading partnerships and caused historically opposing countries, such as China, South Korea, and Japan, to unite against the United States. In terms of foreign policy, by dismantling the United States Agency for International Development, he is directly responsible for every death caused by starvation that was being prevented through its programs. He has destroyed the soft power framework and is dismantling military alliances. On domestic policy, his refusal to provide aid to Kentucky, West Virginia, and Arkansas after disasters has shown how performative the good Christians in his administration are. His cabinet is filled with individuals who focus on appearance rather than effectiveness. Those who are not billionaires seem to be positioning themselves for their next political chapter, while billionaires are simply waiting to find out when the next pause or increase in tariffs will be announced to capitalize on profit. All of this in just 100 days. Story 33. As a Russian asset, he has performed well. As a president of the United States and ally of the European Union, he has performed poorly. He is quite foolish. Story 34. He is the worst human being I have ever seen in my lifetime. I was born in 1981. I grew up learning that Nazis were bad. I always wondered how Germany fell for authoritarianism. I'm not wondering anymore. Story 35. We, as a country, need to stop denying that Donald Trump is an asset for Vladimir Putin. He shows admiration for Putin every time he meets him or talks about him. Putin influences him. How can one justify the recent peace settlement that gives the aggressor everything he wants while offering nothing to our ally? The fact that the Republican Party allowed this deceptive individual, who avoided military service, has filed for bankruptcy multiple times, has been banned from nonprofit activities due to theft, has been convicted of election fraud, has faced charges related to harassment, has evaded taxes, has shared national secrets, and incited insurrection, to lead our country again and potentially destroy it is unforgivable. You were warned. This is entirely your responsibility. Let's consider a class action lawsuit against all the billionaire donors to recover our social security that we contributed to throughout our lives, which has been undermined for a tax cut they do not need. Story 36. How has he performed? This situation is akin to a disruptive student cutting the power to the school with a blowtorch, walking into the classroom, flipping over desks, and fighting with everyone, escalating to the point where the entire school had to be shut down. And then you ask me, how did he do on that economics test today? Story 37. Just as well as expected. The economy is declining. A lower deportation rate than previous administrations. A trade conflict has begun. An education conflict has emerged. A health conflict has started. I could continue. Story 38. Objectively terrible. Quite frankly, I don't see how anyone could be happy with how it has gone so far. I know there are people out there who are happy, but I don't understand it. The only explanation I can think of is that they are so pleased with the strict immigration policies that other issues don't matter. I will never truly understand that perspective. The ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia continues. The former president's peace plan reads like it was drafted by a Russian oligarch. His immigration policies have been harsh. The tariff was a significant error and has lost a substantial amount of money in the stock market. For the first time in my life, I have real concerns about the dollar being the global reserve currency. He has somehow managed to open doors for China to engage with Canada. Speaking of this, he continues to urge the world to unite against the United States. Pete Hegseth has now demonstrated his inability to perform his job adequately on two major occasions. Nothing has happened to him. Dogecoin managed to create a lot of noise but failed to achieve significant results despite the hype. Story 39. I am a minority. I have been trying to tell white Americans about the issues the government has been involved in throughout its recent and not-so-recent history, but it has often gone unheard. Now that Donald Trump has revealed the imperialistic, racist, and misogynistic policies affecting all Americans, being proven right is one of the most cathartic yet horrifying experiences I have had. The America presented to us in history textbooks was partially a lie, and progress is fought for and earned from the sacrifices of those who struggled for it. Those who believe they cannot be on the wrong side of history are now either actively supporting that wrong side or are indifferent to the regression of this country. America voted for this. Story 40. Trump facts. May I share some facts? 64 times mentioned in the Epstein report. 97 times pleaded the Fifth Amendment. 34 felony convictions. 91 criminal charges. 26 sexual assault allegations. 6 bankruptcies. 5 draft deferments. 4 indictments. 2 impeachments. 2 convicted companies. 1 fake university shut down. 1 fake charity shut down. $25 million fraud settlement. $5 million sexual abuse verdict. $2 million fake charity abuse judgment. $93 million sexual abuse judgments. Over $400 million fraud judgment. First president in history to serve a full term while increasing the deficit every year. First president to maintain a debt-to-GDP ratio over 100% for an entire term. Highest annual budget deficit. Most added to the national debt in a single term. Most new unemployment claims. Largest single-day point drop in the history of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. First major party candidate in half a century to lose the popular vote twice. Longest government shutdown in history, occurring while his own party controlled both chambers of Congress. First president in the history of approval ratings to maintain a net negative approval rating for an entire term. First president to be impeached twice. First president to have bipartisan support for his conviction after impeachment. Most indictments, guilty pleas, and criminal convictions of members of an administration. First president to have a mugshot. Please verify every claim listed here. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.